On this episode of the Leader Wrestle Zone, we're going to talk about this week's Wednesday Night War, the continuation and finals of the interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship, Cody Rhodes' match against Jungle Boy, Moxley talking about Taz, about how he felt, and many others. So, let's get ready to start another episode of the Leader Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead Wrestle Zone. I am J-Rod here. We're here to talk about pro wrestling from anything from NXT, AEW, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, all promotions, all matches, individual wrestlers, history, and whatever. So on this episode, we're going to go with the Wednesday Night War. As you all know, so far AEW has been in the lead many times over. They haven't been able to reach the 1,000 mark. Now, a week ago, they reached the highest peak, and all the result because of Iron Mike Tyson, who made an appearance. Now this time the views on AEW has been dipped, but they remain in the lead. So this is what they got for both shows. AEW got 730,000 views with the rate of 0.29 rate. NXT, on the other hand, they had 715,000 views with the rate of 0.20. So basically, they're close. The only difference is with both shows, NXT only needed about maybe more than 20,000 views to surpass AEW. But both shows were great. I can't imagine one or the other, but it's always been a difference maker. But so far, both shows haven't gone to the million mark. So is that unusual? Maybe. But we do know, with the time of the crisis has been going, I know many fans have been dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. Of course, the situation is going on in our country with the protests, the riots, the looting, all of that. So that basically kind of affected it. But can we blame it? No. But as for me, I like to give out some great wrestling content about what's been going on in the wrestling world. So that's what I'm here for you guys, to give you some good content. So right now, let's start with AEW as the winners of this week. Alright, so right now we're doing AEW. So it starts out with the recap of a week ago, which is, we do know what was going to happen for this week. For example, we did know that Jungle Boy is going to face Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, and the tag team titles are on the line. So it starts out with the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega faces Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian along with Penelope Ford. This one was a very good match. It was a determination of, we have seen Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc has been more of a cohesive tag team for the past couple weeks. In real life, those guys are like friends. They're roommates. They live in the same location, and not to mention they're both British. So it makes perfect sense. It's still unclear if they are going to have a wrestling name, but we just don't know. But it was great timing. It was still undetermined because we haven't seen, ever since the COVID-19 situation took place, we weren't sure if how much ring rust is Kenny and Hangman Page are together. If you all recall, before COVID-19, they haven't been active. But since then, ever since things have changed, they haven't been, the tag team we've been new. They haven't been putting the titles on the line. Kenny has been making more appearances than Hangman. We were aware Hangman was in his home in North Carolina. Maybe it was one of those times, states that were told they had to be closed down, but we have seen some videos of him on being the elite. So that's always been a factor. Now, one factor was remaining is Penelope Ford. As you all know, she always will do whatever it takes for her man to win. Now, what happened is she tried to do the Hurricanrana, but somehow Hangman Page stopped her, and of course, Rick Knox saw it and he put her down, and then ref made the wise choice to throw her out of the ring, which was not good for Kip Sabian, because he knows he counts on her to ensure they get the victory, but this time it didn't. But Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian have been determined to win the match. We could have had a new tag team champions, but it didn't happen, and it resulted, of course, with the Buckshot Lariat and B-Trigger combo. Kenny and Hangman retained the titles. And then we move on to what happened. Now, if you saw a few days ago, Tully Blanchard was not a happy camper with Sean Spears of what's been going on with him. So basically, right now, he was also upset. In matter of fact, when Cody did this, you all know what that means. That is the sign of the Four Horsemen. Basically, we don't know what Cody was trying to do, but it pissed off Tully. But he did find a piece of the puzzle to make Sean Spears the man he is. It was some sort of a black glove with short finger sleeves right here, and I don't know what it means. It's kind of like a transformation, from what I can tell. So it's still unclear on that part. Then we have a squash match, as we call it, between Brian Cage with Taz, which against Shawn Dean, and this match was already over. Now, post-match, Taz put up the microphone. He felt what happened a week ago, that when Taz was talking to Moxley, that it was disrespecting him, laughing at him, so because he thinks that he treats it as a joke. Now, Moxley comes out, give his explanation. He wasn't mocking him. He just is happy knowing finally we're getting some competition in. So he's appreciating who's coming in his way. As you know, he already faced Brody Lee, who has been determined to win the title for himself, and now we got Brian Cage. So, but he did warn him, we both are two different breeds of shark. And since then, you're not going to be happy with the result. So we don't know yet what's going to happen, but we do know they are set to face at Fyter Fest. I'll get to that near the end of this part of this. Then we had an interview with Lance Archer. Now, Lance Archer has not been a happy camper at all either. He nearly took out Marvez. He was not happy with the fact that he did not win the TNT Championship. It was always been on his mind, but of course he has that slogan, everybody must die. So right now, he is on a rampage. He just took out Fuego del Sol. You may have seen him on Sammy's vlogs before. So it's still unclear what's going to happen then. Then we see a little scene with Private Party. Now, as you recall, a week ago during a six-man tag team where Private Party and Joey Janela were teaming up against the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy. Now, there was a moment where Mark Quinn of Private Party injured himself. Now, that is something that we have seen. And, of course, we've seen Matt Hardy being somewhat of a sportsman. He went out ring after the match to see how Mark Quinn was doing. To me, that is the sign of respect. But after that, they showed that both Mark Quinn looks fine. They were having Matt Hardy showed up, giving his props. Now, he did state it. The Private Party are the future of tag team, and they're not wrong. Even the Young Bucks themselves believe that too. And of course, Matt told them that their bond reminds him of him and his brother Jeff. And to them, they felt like mad props for him. Like, they respect Matt because of his past, of what he's done in the past. And then Private Party came up with the perfect name for both for them and Hardy Party, and he likes it. But Hardy is willing to help them to achieve their goal as a cohesive tag team unit, which something we have been seeing. We have been seeing ever since AEW first launched, that they made their priority for tag team division to be a top priority, and so far it's stacked. So, and then as soon as Matt Hardy left, he runs into Sammy Guevara, tell him, respect, we're cool. And he did the bow, and Sammy has that confusion, like, the hell? Like, what's up with that? So I think he was confused what just happened, but it was the best, you know. Then we go to the match that happened. This one was between Chris Jericho and Colt Cabana. Now, how did this happen? How do you win? We know that Chris Jericho wants to get his hands on Tyson for what happened not only a week ago, but 10 years ago too. And when they were about to pound each other, Colt Cabana stopped Jericho from taking things worse. And then off the air, you see Chris Jericho looking for Tyson, and he blames Cabana for not letting him finish the job. So he decided to put him in the match. And there were moments that Colt was able to hold on his own, even though there was a bit of a factor. The Big Hurt himself, you know, Mr. Frankenstein, Jake Hager. So he got in the way too on many occasions. And Colt put up a great fight. None of his tricks were able to pull off. Of course, Jericho got him with the Judas effect and won. But as soon as he won the match, he is still wants Tyson. He wants to beat the crap out of him. He wants him to pay for what happened 10 years ago. And now it appears. But instead of getting Tyson, he gets someone else. We're talking about Freshly Squeezed. Now, if you recall a week ago, when the Inner Circle were doing an interview, Orange Cassidy showed up. What's his name? Jericho decided to teach him a lesson, so he sent Proud of Powerful to attack him when he was one of the entrants for the Battle Royale for the TNT Championship. And basically, nearly costing Orange Cassidy an opportunity. So Orange Cassidy hasn't forgotten what happened. So basically, we are going to see Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, or there's going to be a long feud. We don't know. But I'm excited to see that. Now, then of course, we've been seeing the role model, Britt Baker, who's on a road to recovery ever since she hurt her knee, and of course, all this and that. And even though she was there, she has a golf cart that says Rolls Royce. You know, Rolls Royce. So that kind of went off. And she was there, and then we jump into the next match. Big Swole makes her return after we haven't seen her for quite some time, ever since the start of the COVID-19, facing off against the former AEW World Women's Champion, Nyla Rose. This was a good match. Now, I want to pause that for a few seconds. If you guys notice Big Swole's outfit, her gear, she's dressed up as a Power Ranger, the Yellow Ranger colors. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I thought that was pretty cool. I even told my best friend about it, since we were both Power Ranger fans. Yeah, I'm a nerd, so sue me. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I feel like they should push Big Swole to go for the title. That would be great, in my opinion, to see. But frankly, Nyla Rose took the victory. Now, Tony Schiavone was interviewing Big Swole, and all of a sudden, here comes the role model out of nowhere, criticizing her because she cannot stand other people taking her spot. She got in her face, so Big Swole couldn't stand her. So she grabbed the chair, tried to wipe her out, and almost whack her with the chair. And you see the heels, they're like, ooh. She's like, not happy. Britt Baker continues to go off and criticize everybody, saying that she's the role model. They should follow her. But we all know that doesn't happen. Then we have an interview with Darby Allin. Now, as you all know, he's been hurt already before, after what happened at Double or Nothing. But that doesn't mean anything for him, even though he was told he cannot compete. But we don't know what's going to happen next. It's still going to be a very unusual story, but I can't wait to see more. Now we get to the interview that we've been waiting for almost a week. Tony Schiavone had a sit down with FTR. They explained the reasons why they were there in AEW to begin with. And of course, like I talked before, AEW has the best tag team division outside of WWE. We do know WWE has a very stale lack of tag teams that we've seen over the years, but now we're seeing that. And FTR are been keeping an eye on many of tag teams, such as the Butcher and the Blade, Proud and Powerful, the Best Friends, Kenny Omega and Hangman. But they did stated that Kenny Omega and Hangman are not a team, but they have something that it's a goal for them is becoming AEW World's Tag Team Champion. But Tony Schiavone said, okay, you mentioned great tag team. There's one team you missed, and that team was the Young Bucks. Now, for almost 5 years, the Bucks have been declared as the best tag team in the world by Dave Meltzer, giving them tag team of the year time and time again. And FTR felt that they been overlooked over time. And over almost a year and a half now, they've been at each other's throats during social media. It's, if you all recall, the stuff they've been putting on being the elite, and this is something more. Now, they had a chance to attack them a week ago, but they didn't do it. What they're asking is they want the Bucks to be 100%. And they want to teach these guys a lesson. And they said they're willing to fight them to prove who's the best tag team in the world. And then once they beat, they want everyone to apologize to them, saying, okay, you guys are the best. Now, when that happened, Schiavone kind of asked them, I've always been trying to figure out what FTR stands for. He's like, what? It wasn't, of course, who forgets F the Revival. When that happened, here comes the Butcher and the Blade, still mad over what happened a week ago when they attacked them. Now, they mentioned what they did to them wasn't personal, but it was personal to them. It was all business. So we may see FTR in action for the first time next week in AEW Dynamite against the Butcher and the Blade. Now, this is a match we gotta see. Now, they are here to make a statement. I hope we get to see that. Sorry, folks. Then, now we go to the main event. I think it is the main event. No, we got an interview, this time with Colt Cabana, how these losses have been a major, but he knows he has a couple of wins on his shoulders. But out of nowhere, here comes the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, tried to persuade him to join Dark Order. As you know, Dark Order has been targeting those they felt they've been disrespected, been lost, being like losers. But we don't know what Colt Cabana, but I hope he does not join these guys. So that's what. Now we jump into the main event, the TNT Championship match, which between Jungle Boy versus Cody. Now this is Cody's first ever title defense, but on the ring side we see MJF not happy with this. His goal was to humiliate Cody even further. Now he wanted to win to ensure he gets that title and take from Cody to prove him that Cody is still a sleazeball scumbag that he's always been. And of course it didn't happen. He screwed up. He accidentally got Wardlow with the ring by accident. But this match was great. I mean, if Jungle Boy's dad, Luke Perry, was alive, he would have been so proud of him, knowing that he had an opportunity of a lifetime to be in a championship title match. And this was, I have to say, this match, Jungle Boy as a singles competitor against Cody, was the best. I love it. And we saw a bit of the aggressiveness from Cody and Jungle Boy. But as you know, there's always a winner, and that winner turned out to be Cody. And I like the ending, how Cody gives his respect to Jungle Boy. Even though he didn't win, Jungle Boy felt blessed that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And he knows it. And all of that. So we're kind of excited. Now, before I end it here, as you know, Fyter Fest was originally supposed to be set at London. But as you know, with the situation with the COVID-19, they decided to make it a 2-week event in Daly's Place. So it's going to be on a regular time of Dynamite. So it's going to take place this month or next month. Don't remember. 1 week will be week 1 and then week 2. So I'm excited to see that. Hope you guys too. So I'll keep more surprise. I'll find out what other matches are in the card. We do know that the Best Friends are facing Kenny Omega and Hangman for the titles. We do got uh, Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley for the title. Now, still unclear what's going to happen coming up. So I will keep you guys apprised. So right now, let's move forward with NXT. Alright, so we're now doing NXT. So I'm very excited with some of the matches they went on, how certain things are going to be taking place. So let's talk about the first match, Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim. Now, as you all remembered, Candice LeRae had made a vocal attack against Mia Yim. She's been criticizing her, saying, you have been a losing streak, but yet you get an opportunity against Charlotte Flair. That kind of drives her up, saying that things have to change, that her, Candice, and her husband, Johnny Gargano, are going to change things up. And that's always been like that. And she did not like what Mia Yim did a week ago, where they made fun of them doing dinner with the Garganos, but in a funny way. And it resulted, the match was more of a grudge match. Ended up in a double count out, and that kind of screwed things up a bit. And of course, Tegan tries to stop Candice, even though she tried to tell her what happened wasn't like against her. She was doing her Mia Yim a favor. But Candice stinks. Tegan crossed the line. And here comes Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, and then Shotzi Blackheart. So it became a chaotic. And then here comes Johnny Gargano, try to be on the side of his wife. And here comes Keith Lee. And then William Regal, by order, turned it into a mixed tag team match. So this was good. Johnny was not too pleased, even though he was not in ring gear. He was wearing civvies the entire time. And that kind of bothered him. It was like much of the match was taken over by Candice and Mia Yim. But there was moments where, nearly the end of the match, Johnny used the keys to get into the wound, Keith Lee, and it resulted having Candice and Johnny win the match. But this feud between them is far from over. But Johnny did state it. The first order of business is to remove the North American title from Keith Lee, and that's going to take place at NXT TakeOver in your house. So we're going to get ready for that. Then we have an interview with Dexter Lumis. Now, it's still unclear what is the relationship between Dexter Lumis and what is his motives towards Undisputed Era. Instead of talking, he decided to draw it. Yeah. It was kind of weird. But, yeah. So we jump into the next interview, but this one was earlier in the day with Maverick. Now, as you all recall, Drake Maverick has been released. We don't know yet what's going to be his fate. He is set to face against Hijo del Fantasma. And he is currently trying not to have pressure on him. All he needs to do is focus on trying to win as much as possible. Because he knows you may never know what's going to happen. He could win the title, win to become the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, or go home. That is one thing he knows. Don't put too much pressure. All you got to do is try to see where you're going to go with it. So, and then we had Undisputed Era taught in a video clip with Velveteen Dream. Now, Undisputed Era are celebrating Michael Colt as the longest reigning champion after Finn Balor. And of course, Velveteen Dream, his motives are clear. Now, as you all recall, a week ago, Adam Cole made it clear to William Regal, if Velveteen Dream, he will no longer have another title opportunity as long as the title is on his shoulders. So Regal accepted the terms. So they're trying to get in each other's faces about what they're going to do, all this and that. But yeah. Now, we get to Dexter Lumis when he was interviewed. He finished the drawing. is a picture of him in a truck with Undisputed Era tied up. Yes, tied up. Crazy. I don't know what it means, but it's scary, good, and funny. Yeah. Now we go to the jump, a match that was becoming a grudge match. Tony Nese versus Isaiah Scott. Now, if you all recall, a couple weeks ago, Scott made remarkable comments about Tony Nese, who was eliminated from the tournament when he had 3 straight losses. And Tony Nese did not like that completely. He did not like his remarks, so he attacked him on his match that he faced against, who was it? Not Jake Maverick. I don't remember who. Cost them the match completely. And, oh, now I remember. It was against Jack Gallagher. And that was pretty much. Now, this was more of a grudge match. Tony Nese is still mad with him for remarks. Scott wants him for costing him the opportunity of a lifetime that he could have gone further into the tournament. So it was like a great match between both. But somehow near the end, Jack Gallagher showed up out of the blue. So it's still unclear what's going to happen. But because of that, it did not stop Scott into picking up the victory. So this is far from over between both Tony Nese and Gallagher to get their hands on Scott. So that's for another story in another time. Now we get to the number 1 contender for the NXT Tag Team titles, who are currently being held by Imperium's Eichner and Barthel. As you all know, these guys won these titles from Thatcher and Riddle because they made remarkable comments about them, saying they are disrespecting the mat, they need to respect it, they don't have no respect for the ring. Now, 2 teams have been announced that were going to be there. First team was Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish. Next team was Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch. Now, these guys made remarks about getting a shot of the tag team titles. 1 week or 2 weeks ago, they won in a tag team against Everest, and they made a clear message to Imperium. A week ago, Danny Burch talked to Orny Lorcan, saying they should get a shot of the titles. Now, this was a triple threat, and the third team was a mystery. Now, it was still unclear who it was until they finally revealed right when both teams were out. It was Breezango. Yes, Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Breezango are the third team. But it was a great match. I enjoyed every moment. I know Undisputed Era are trying to regain the titles. That Lorcan and Danny are trying to make a statement that they have been a cohesive unit for a long time, even though they came from similar backgrounds. And as for Breezango, well, this could be an opportunity for them to prove they're not just a tag team that are goofy and try to be that. But some point during the match, Undisputed Era dropped the ball. Or should I say lose focus, because he was right. Yeah, Dexter Lumis was right there. And it resulted Breezango won the match. But out of nowhere, here comes Imperium, Eichner, and Barthel. I don't think they are too concerned over the fact that they're going to face against Breezango, but they do find their antics and being in the ring disturbing, because everything for them, they feel if you're having fun in the ring, then that means you disrespect the match. So that's Imperium's way of saying they're far more superior. Now, you all recall last week, Chelsea Green was in a match with Charlotte Flair against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley. Now, what you haven't seen is the exclusive interview that was not aired, but you can see it on YouTube or the WWE Network. Chelsea Green fired Robert Stone. It was unusual, but it looks like Chelsea is starting to see Robert Stone has been getting in the way, all this and that. So basically, Robert has been trying to talk to Chelsea, what's going on. He's always been by her side. He made sure she gets the opportunity, but all of a sudden she decided to drop him. Still unclear why it's happening. Instead, he decided to come out for the next match. It was a women's match between Aaliyah and Santana Garrett. Now, as you know, Aaliyah helped Chelsea Green to defeat Xia Li for payback for what happened to her. And in result of that, Robert Stone is trying to get his brand back. He showed up. Much of the match was not that great, but I'll skip ahead. Santana Garrett won. I was like thinking, finally Santana won. I mean, I know her reputation from other promotions. She's like a real life superhero, but finally she wins it. Now the next match was Cameron Grimes versus Bronson Reed. Now Cameron Grimes, as we all know, he's been bragging about how he beat Finn Balor. It makes him happy knowing that he got his hand on him, but come on. You didn't beat him fair square. Thank Damian Priest for that. But I have a feeling that this whole thing with Grimes and Balor is far from over yet. Now Grimes actually he was able to hold his own against a guy like Bronson Reed, the big guy, and wow, it was a good match. Not to mention, and Grimes picked up the victory. But out of nowhere, here comes Killer Cross, and when Grimes saw him, he took off immediately because he knows you don't want to be around him. And Killer Cross took out Reed, and then he stayed to send a message to Ciampa. And their match is going to take place at NXT TakeOver in your house. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited for that. Now let's jump into the final match. This was an important match. It was the finals for the interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship between Hijo de Fantasma and Drake Maverick. It was a great match, I have to say. I saw more of what Drake Maverick was meant to be. I know Drake hasn't been much in-ring competition for a long time, ever since he got signed with WWE, and I feel that WWE never gave him the opportunity he deserved, and it was weird, but it was a good match. Drake was determined, he was beaten, he knows he was bruised, all this and that. I like that. He was determined. I'm determined to win. But the one thing that got in his way was the fact he made a mistake in helping Hijo de Fantasma. Because what happened is, the same maskman that took Raul Mendoza, Joaquin Phoenix, and the attack on Akira Tozawa, they showed up. And of course Drake helped. I think he was feeling, you don't come to a match and ruin an important moment for both of us. But because of that, even though Hijo de Fantasma took advantage of it, it resulted in his win. But once the match was over, everybody thought the same thing. Drake is gone. He's no longer employed with WWE. But out of nowhere, here comes Triple H with a contract of him now being with NXT. And I mean, I feel like this was a good story about a man who's trying to fulfill his dream to be a wrestler, a man who dreamed of being in WWE. And of course, now we're going to see him more. And that's how it ended. It was like a good storyline. Now, let me talk to you guys right now about what's happening. Now, PW Insider, no, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, have talked about this. We all know what happened on April 15th of this year. WWE released a mass majority of employees. Majority of them are wrestlers. Drake Maverick was one of them. Because of this, many wrestlers are going to come into question. Drake Maverick was supposed to be released and be done with WWE with the remaining matches he had, and all of a sudden he gets a contract. There is a speculation that many of the former wrestlers who were in NXT are going to call this as a question. Why? Why does he get his job back? What about me? While I sit home, do nothing. To me, this is going to draw a lot of backlash with WWE. Now, I understand where they're coming from. We do know that many of them are not going to be happy with this whole idea of Drake Maverick getting his job back. But whatever WWE are trying to do, I hope they have some good explanation. If they don't, then they automatically screw themselves. But at the result, at least I got to see Drake Maverick. I feel like I missed out on a lot of him because he wasn't giving the opportunity to be the wrestler he should have been. But I'm more happier now to see he is fulfilling what he said he was meant to do. And I'm very proud. We're happy. But right now, let's move on to the last thing I want to do is the news update for all of you. So let's move forward. All right, guys. So let's move on to this now. After AEW Dynamite, it was announced that Arn Anderson has signed a multi-year deal with AEW. So we may see Arn Anderson more often that we can see. We know he has been signed as a coach, and I'm not sure about a producer, but I'm excited to see that. So we're going to see more of Arn Anderson with AEW down the line. Now, the next thing on the news update has been confirmed today that WWE star and former NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm has now revealed that she is in a relationship with New Japan star Juice Robinson. This was a bit of a surprise for many people. We did not know that they were in a relationship. We do know that they're both in different promotions, but all we can do is be happy for them and all this and that. But some of you are probably saying, what's going to happen now? They're both in two different companies. Yes, so what? We have that with many of the stars in WWE and in other promotions. Look, we have Sean Spears. He's in AEW. His wife, Peyton Royce, still with WWE. But they're working things out. We got the same thing with Jon Moxley. And of course, Renee Young. So what? I'm sure they're going to welcome. And besides, Toni Storm is a bit of a celebrity, a star down in Japan too. I mean, her time with Stardom is what made her what she is. So I have to say, I'm happy for the couple. Well, we'll just see what's going to happen down the line. Hopefully, if they decide to get married, we want to see that on video. Now, the next thing we talk, as you all know, with the protests been going on, Tyson O'Neill has made a great speech about what's been happening in the community of Tampa. He feels looters and rioters are not part of sending the message of what's been going on since the death of George Floyd. And I feel he made a compelling argument. I mean, he sounds like a preacher to me, the way he did it. And many fans are saying, wow, I feel the same way. I mean, but not only that, he's not the only one who spoke out about this. So did The Rock. He called out President Trump. Now, I'm not being political. What is going on is some people are speaking out about Trump, but The Rock had the heart to tell him, where's our leader? Where's our compassion? You've been dividing us, letting this country fall apart. And I never seen Rock this way. I don't know if this would cause a backlash, but you may never know. But it's still unclear why, but I think he's more compassionate than any other person. I never seen, you know. Sorry. Excuse me. So, I think that's about it for now. So, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Leave a comment down below if you want me to talk about anything, you want any questions that need to be answered. I'm willing to do that. I'll be in my podcast soon to talk. I'm still working on the DWZ's discussion section for the Japanese edition. It's still on the works, but be patient. There's a lot of things that have been going on in my mind. I'm doing the best I can, try to keep up with everything. So, I must bid all of you adieu. So Goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.